Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we continued with our Void Crusade, and we will continue on with... Game, please. I'm suffering here. Okay, I think it's this mission. I'm gonna pull up my handy-dandy map. And yeah, that looks to be the mission. Because we got a terminal here, this should give us a new secret mission. Oh god. At least we get the damage reduction from Chaos Cult. That should help. Actually, let's see what else we're looking at. Okay, corn. A little useful, a little not useful. Corn, Nurgle Demons. Corn. Oh yeah, I can just literally look at the symbol, I'm stupid. I'm literally going through every one of these. Like, no, I can... Okay. Okay, so it'll be useful. It's not going to be great, but it's a buff. Wait a second, before I do that. Damage bonus. Let's get that used now. So last week, if you somehow live under a rock or don't follow gaming news too close, Microsoft had a live stream kind of going over their current plans for the near future. Because it came out that some of their games are coming to PlayStation 5 and the Switch. People have been kind of hemming and hawing what their future is going to be because there's been talk of potentially no longer making Xbox systems. Which I could see. They've said in the past, if they're just going to be third place, they don't want to keep wasting the time and money. Admittedly, this does kind of feel like a child being like, oh, if I'm not first place, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though history has shown within the games industry, sometimes you don't have to be the best. You just have to screw up less than your opponents. As we've seen with like Destiny, where they've screwed up a fair amount, but they spaced their screw-ups out enough that they could survive, while every other looter shooter that comes out just decides, hi, let's just screw up off the rip, because that can't screw us over immediately. And then it does, and then Destiny survives to screw up another day. But yeah, so Xbox did their thing, and they didn't say anything important. It could have been a tweet, honestly. But they didn't come out and be like, we're gonna stop making consoles. No. What they did is they said, yeah, we're still gonna make consoles. We're looking at maybe doing a handheld. We're gonna release some games to PS5 and the Switch. Blah. Like I said, it did not need to be a live stream. It was a waste of a live stream. The thing that was probably the funniest to me was... I'm trying to think exactly how to word this. They came out and said something along the lines of, well, we're the biggest publisher, or one of the biggest publishers on Switch and on PlayStation. And my first reaction was, in what world? Genuinely, in what world? Because if you make the argument of, oh, well, we publish Fallout and Elder Scrolls. No, they bought the publisher. They bought Bethesda. Since Bethesda has been under Microsoft, nothing has come out for PlayStation. Or, to be fair, they had like Ghostwire Tokyo, but those were already things in development. But they had swiped the Indiana Jones game, which is apparently coming out to PlayStation now, even though they had said that it wasn't going to. It's this very stupid and incorrect way of saying things, when it's like, no, you're still wrong. You're just trying to make yourself sound less stupid by sounding stupider. And it's such a foolish thing And then there was that, which the handheld thing I thought was interesting, because I've seen a lot of people, like, people will talk about the Switch, and it more or less boils down to they're in their own little world. And people get angry and go, oh, well, when they do bad, they're always said to be, like, in last place, but when they're doing well, they're in their own world. And I'm like, yeah, because no one does handhelds. When they do bad, if they were doing bad in handhelds, that's impressive, because they're in a race alone and they'd somehow be in second place. It takes actual effort to screw up when you're the only person in the market. So yeah, they are in the world of their own. Is it bad? No, it's fine. But it doesn't mean they deserve undue praise for going into a niche no one else is in. It's just stupid. I don't get Microsoft. They kind of come off as a bit whiny at this point. And I'm not saying, like, the people, even though the people... Some of the fans were sending death threats to reporters and stuff. There are people within gaming at this point who care less about gaming as a whole and more about which plastic box is better and trying to feel good about the choice of plastic box. And it's like, no, just... People like that need to go away. I've said this for years, and I will eternally say it. I miss when video games were more niche. Because once gaming got mainstream, you got posers and you got all these idiots who just come in, cause problems, and they essentially exist to farm clicks. Come on, captives, get over here before all of you idiots die. I really don't feel like trying to finish this mission with none of you alive. Quit chasing the guy and just move. I can come back for loot later. Yeah, this has just become sprint through at this point. But there was that, and then there was... So Helldivers came out, and I had to laugh because Phil Spencer's like, oh, I don't see how having it exclusive to PlayStation and PC helps anyone. I'm like, this really comes off as like, we have our toys, and we're mad that you have your toys and you won't share them with us, but we won't share our toys with you. I do agree with his statement that exclusives will most likely start to dry up. If the cost of game development keeps going the way it's going, and the number of games coming out keeps shrinking, they will need to generate more games. And the easiest way is to remove exclusives. But it also removes the necessity of which box you want. At a certain point, it'll just become, oh, you just pick which one looks nicer.
Scanning psalms have been executed and indicate essential info fragments, Inquisitor. Data has been...
But it was really stupid, because, like, yeah, Xbox can't play it, but you also have PC, so a bunch of people will still play it and be able to, because how many people are using Game Pass on PC? But the news ended up just, like I said, it was nothing noteworthy. And of course, if they are going to shift away from the hardware side of gaming, they're not going to announce it today, or this week, or last week. We're just hearing now that we're roughly halfway through this console gen's lifespan, which is incredibly depressing, considering the lack of games. But it's also the fact that... like... Oh wow, we lost another squad of guys, okay. This is annoying. But it's also the fact that, like, you wouldn't announce it now, because you still want to sell consoles. If you got another 4, maybe 5 years to go, you don't want to sit here now and be like, yeah, we're not going to support this stuff after 5 more years. No more games are going to come out. We're not going to do anything like that. This is dead. Abandon it. Because then people are going to do that. Oh, this is a lost cause. Those idiots are poisoned. Yep. Yeah. Of course. I hate rescue missions. The AI is way too brain dead for its own good. I guess I could have pushed through the middle, but you don't expect the game to just have suicidal guardsmen who are just like, yeah, let's just keep fighting the guy who just obliterated us and take our health and then not provide a way to recover health. Because that's how you do a game. 200% damage taken and no recovery options. But yeah, it is foolish. Waste of time, waste of effort. They didn't even say which games are going to come to multi-platform. The rumors have said that it'll be Starfield, which, if it's Starfield, it's a waste of time and money. Yeah, whatever. I can honestly say the Crusader kind of blows. He is not good at handling these fights at all. And this also completely screws up the path we're supposed to take, because we're supposed to go here and then double back. So this might be a run where we're cutting it short because we only have 2 lives left. And we'll have to save like 1 life here, but otherwise, yeah, it's only getting tougher. We don't have a lot of stuff that really helps us. Yeah, this is going to be probably a wash, which is a shame, but nothing I can do against 300% damage suffered. But the other thing worth noting for Microsoft in the news recently is so they're putting Diablo 4 on Game Pass. I don't know how long that's going to last, considering the FTC might actually be able to undo the merger of Activision and Microsoft, because Microsoft said that they would do essentially a vertical acquisition. This means it's easy to divest. Essentially, they're just taking over the top control and not really touching anything below. In the past month or so, we have seen... I talked about this in the layoffs a little bit. We saw the esports division for Activision and Call of Duty get gutted. Toys for Bob is essentially dead. High Noon Studios got hit. They've just been gutting huge swaths of the studios, and that goes against the vertical acquisition. That is a horizontal merger. What that is you are merging horizontally. You are not taking just vertical control and just kind of dictating things down to the people below. You are blending them into your company. So I think the FTC might have a case to be like, look, you didn't follow your obligations. You now have a contract that is null and void. Which admittedly, I would laugh at, because I don't care. If Sony did this, I'd laugh too. Don't do this shit. Don't sit here and keep buying up big studios. It's a problem Activision, Microsoft has. They keep buying new studios, and they just... because they can't make original crap anymore. One of the lead people for the Fable reboot went to CD Projekt Red. Nothing can be kept afloat, and you have to ask yourself why. Because at this point, this has been going on, I would say, for a good 10 years. Because I remember back to, like, Scalebound and stuff like that for the Xbox One, where they were just doing these stupid things, and their studios were just continually delaying and collapsing. And it's like, look, something is wrong. Sony doesn't have a ton of first-party studios, but they at least can kind of foster them a little bit better. Which is kind of why when it comes to like Bethesda, I'm just waiting for them to collapse. It's terrible, but Microsoft has not proven themselves to be worthy custodians of any company. Every single company they get their hands on, they just let die for reasons unknown, and then they act shocked when it happens. I mean, come on, if you saw the trailer for that Fable reboot, you knew it was gonna suck the second it showed. And they had that one guy from the IT crowd show, and there's like, yeah, it's not his voice, it's just him. And it was like, oh, so the classic art style that's been in 3 Fable games is gone for realism, so we can shove some celebrity, I don't even remember his name, into the game. That's a waste. Which that unto itself is another problem we're seeing with, like, Jedi Survivor having Seer, the actress who is the woman who looks like that, and then that exact same woman is used in the Suicide Squad as Amanda Waller. And it takes you out of games when it's just, oh, it's insert celebrity here. It's like, no, I don't want random celebrity I don't care about. Even celebrities I care about. I don't want to see Denzel Washington in a video game. If he voices a character, sure. If Lawrence Fishburne voices a character, sure. The only time I'm cool with seeing Lawrence Fishburne as Lawrence Fishburne in a game is when it's The Matrix. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, it's Morpheus. But if I'm playing, Destiny or something, and suddenly there's Richard Nightingale, and it's just Lawrence Fishburne, I'm like, oh, well, why is it him? We could just have literally anyone for an appearance. It didn't need to be him. It doesn't need to be these people. Just feels like stunt casting, which God knows the industry has enough of that going on. Everybody talks about needing to save money on production, and meanwhile they throw money at using some person's likeness, and it's like, why? Why are you doing this? But yeah, Microsoft just can't help but step in it right now. I would really like for them to just divest from Bethesda, divest from Activision, actually work on their main core products. Said it before, what's the Coalition doing? Because right now it just sounds like they're cashing checks and not putting out anything for a game. 343 is at least kinda doing something, screwing up along the way, but still doing stuff with Halo. And realistically, I think Microsoft would be better off if they just paid an existing company to make a game for them, instead of this, we're just gonna buy them and then watch as they wither away. They're like people who can't keep a plant alive. We all know those people who they buy any kind of plant, whether it's like a cactus or a ficus or something, and somehow within 16 hours it's dead. That is essentially them. It's like, look, just pay a studio to do stuff. Look at Bloodborne. Sony just paid FromSoft, was like, hey, make us spooky game. And FromSoft's like, yeah, no worries, we got you. The funniest part is Microsoft paid them before. They paid FromSoft back on the 360 to make Chrome Hounds, which was more or less not Armored Core, but Armored Core. Like a more PvP focused and not reliant on like crackhead agility. You didn't need to be, butt chugging a mixture of Adderall and game fuel to, what is it? There's G Fuel, that's what it is, I think. You don't need to be like butt chugging that just to play the game. You can just fire it up because it was slow movement. It was kind of like MechWarrior. It's like, just do that. That is a far better option, but they would rather do whatever the hell they're doing, and you think they'd get tired of having the FTC, or not the FTC. The FTC just crawling up their ass every 15 minutes, but it's MicroSquat. They're used to pissing off the FTC for decades at this point. After Bill Gates, the whole predatory pricing thing with Windows back in the day.
Inquisitor. Electrospectral scanning revealed info fragments of high importance in close proximity.
I don't get it, man. This isn't that difficult. It really isn't. Yet somehow, it is. I still laugh at the Helldivers thing, though. Oh, I don't know what good it does to have it only on PC and PlayStation. What good did Starfield being on PC and PlayStation do? Or PC and Xbox do? Granted, to be fair, it did help because it saved a lot of people money by seeing that the game sucked. That's why I kind of laughed the rumors saying, oh, Starfield's gonna come to PlayStation. I'm like, okay, cool, so they can sell 5 copies? Because the rumors are that after the DLC drops, that they'll come to PlayStation. And I'm sitting here thinking that single DLC alone will not save that game. This was something I was talking with a friend of mine about recently, and we both agreed. Starfield's core concept was so bare bones, it never should have been made. Just, oh, what if we did RPG in space? Cool, dude. You'd have now done less in your idea than what I do in like the first 15 seconds of writing a design doc. I at least have a more substantial idea than just sci-fi RPG. And who makes a sci-fi RPG with no aliens? Really, after the success of Mass Effect, who seriously sits down and goes, we don't need anything but humans? People can get used to seeing the same, like, pirates and ecliptic mercenaries for 60 hours on end, right? That's not gonna get boring. But it's Bethesda. They haven't grown. It's the curse of, best way I can really put it,
Blessed scanning psalms
is
and indicate essential info fragments, Inquisitor. Data has been inloaded.
So, during Anthem's production, there was talk, more or less, guys going, don't worry, the BioWare magic will pull this game together. That's kind of what Bethesda has reached. This lackadaisical approach was like, don't worry guys, we're Bethesda, we'll figure it out. No, if none of you have a plan, then you can't figure it out because none of you can be that guy that you need. And I keep saying it, the creation engine is old. first off, it's literally a decade old, and then it's just modified Gamebryo. I've seen so many people that try to run defense for it, going, no, it's its own thing. No, it's literally a modified version of Gamebryo. And that is the engine's problem, is it's still saddled with the issues of Gamebryo, and Gamebryo's old as hell. That said, switching to like Unreal, while many people just go, oh, switch to Unreal Engine, Unreal has its own problems. The biggest one is actually the graphics. People don't think about it, but you notice how every Unreal game has to be some ultra-realistic graphical BS? People get suckered into it. Oh, it can do all this shading and all this stuff. Yeah, it can, but it doesn't need to. And as a result, a lot of games end up looking the same. Look at how many survival games come out right now on Unreal 5. How many do you distinctly remember? And how many are you, when you look at them, you're like, oh yeah, it's that one game. Distinct art styles save studios. That's all I'm saying. It floors me. The sheer bumbling ineptitude of some of these studios and some of these plans. I will say, the handheld thing I think is interesting, considering Sony has come out and said, yeah, we're looking at like a new handheld idea, which hopefully means more studios, because you need to make separate things. One would assume that your PlayStation 6, Xbox will just... We'll call it the Xbox Series X1 360, because God knows what insane name they're going to come up with next. Those should not have the same power as your handheld. If they do, what is the point of one or the other? It either has to be a Switch situation where it is both at home and on the go, or it needs to be two separate entities. And if it's two separate entities, some games have to kind of be made for one or the other, which I think would be good, because that's more studios, more work, more creativity, more competition. If it isn't, well, then we're screwed. Which sadly I kind of see happening, because at this point nothing surprises me anymore. I'd like for them to be competent enough to acknowledge these things. But I just don't know what they would really make. Because at least with like the PSP, PS Vita, there was a lot of games they had. They had Resistance games, they had Killzone. There was the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which was just a Smash Brothers clone, except you couldn't knock people off the stage. You had to build up a super and then hit them with the super to like kill them. Yeah, it's as stupid as it sounds. I played it. Two of my friends had it. One for the PS Vita, one actually had it on the PS3. It was awful both ways. Because self-contained maps, you're just like getting pinballed around because you're at 200% damage. It wasn't fun. The idea was there, execution wasn't. But you're not going to have everything like that. But you could have stuff like that. You could have all these games, but the problem is, let's say you do a Killzone game. Your last game, as of now, is 10 years old. There's an entire generation of gamers who have no idea what Killzone even is. That's why I laughed when All-Stars Battle Royale had come out. Because no one knew who some of these characters were. They were franchises that hadn't had games in ages. They had like a Patapon stage. They had Parappa the Rappa. That fat princess who was like, okay, so this is a character from literally one indie game. they had some really bad choices. They had some good ones, but those were like obvious ones. Kratos, Cole McGrath from Infamous. They had the one guy, I know, great description, but I can't remember his name. The main character from Starhawk. But it's like there just wasn't a lot of options. And I don't know who you'd have now. What are you gonna have? Abby from Last of Us? Or Ellie, you're gonna have Aloy, Kratos.
Let's see what happens now.
That's about it. I don't know, I hope we get something good when it comes to these mobile systems and everything. I guess my big question too is what's the size gonna be? Because I assume if we're going to make a rough estimate here, both Sony and Microsoft are probably gonna try to push for like Steam Deck size. Both in capability and actual physical size. Because the Steam Deck's pretty solid. At least from what I've seen. I don't own one. But I think that's going to be their best bet. They're going to have to put a good amount of hard drive space in. Because if you do like a 250 gig hard drive, you either need smaller games or it's going to be one game. Because something like Call of Duty will just fill the system instantly. And at that point, you're rightfully so going to get crucified for it. I would be pissed, because I hate that already with consoles. Sitting here being like, oh, here's a terabyte of hard drive space. This fits like 4 games. And you're like, oh, cool, thanks. This is what I needed. Well, at least this mission went better. Sucks the last one went terribly, but we'll just have to make do, and if anything, I have to call this run early. God, yeah, these missions are just painful. I'm definitely really earnestly considering calling it at this point. We can hit this one. That's gonna... I mean, this alone is gonna be hell. A callous hunt against the Eldar is gonna suck. But hopefully we can get this. This one will be easy. This one's gonna be a nightmare. We'll just have to sort it out at some point. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.